7 coins. Take it or leave it. The merchant's voice cut through the winter market as he pushed a small wooden cage toward the edge of a stall. Lily Carter stopped with a loaf of bread tucked beneath one arm and 7 copper coins warming her palm. Inside the cage, something small shifted beneath a rough burlap sack. The cloth covered its entire head, leaving only a thin gray body visible beneath a coat of dirty fur. "What is it?" someone asked. "Wolf pup," the merchant replied. "Or close enough." A few people laughed. Lily did not. She watched the cage instead. The pup pressed itself against the far corner, making itself as small as possible. "Why the sack?" Lily asked. The merchant shrugged. "Does not like people looking at it. People do not much like looking at it either." Lily's fingers closed around her coins. 7 coins were supposed to buy beans, flour, and enough oats to carry her through the next 6 days. As an Omega living alone beyond Pine Hollow, she had learned to count everything. Every candle, every piece of firewood, every coin. She could not afford mistakes, and everyone around her would have called this one. Lily started to walk away. Then she heard it. A tiny whimper came from beneath the burlap. She stopped. The sound came again, so quiet that the merchant continued talking as if he had not heard it. Lily looked down at the 7 coins in her hand. Food for almost a week. She looked at the cage. "Has anyone fed him today?" The merchant frowned. "You buying or asking questions?" Lily stepped back to the stall. 7 coins. "That is what I said." "And the cage. Keep it." Lily placed every coin on the wooden counter. The merchant stared at them, then at her worn coat. "You know there is probably something wrong with that animal." Lily reached for the cage handle. "There is something wrong with leaving him here." The merchant gave a short laugh. "Why waste your last money on a pup nobody wants?" Lily lifted the cage carefully. "Because nobody else will." The laughter around her faded. She turned toward the road leading out of Pine Hollow, carrying the cage with both hands while the loaf of bread rested beneath her arm. Snow had begun, falling in soft white flakes, collecting on her sleeves as she walked. The cage was heavier than she expected, but Lily did not stop. After half a mile, she heard movement inside. "It is all right," she whispered. "I am not going to hurt you." The pup became still. Lily glanced down. She wanted to remove the sack, but something about the animal's trembling made her wait. "We will do that when you are ready." She continued toward the small cottage beyond the pines. Behind the burlap, hidden from Lily's view, the pup slowly lifted its head. For the first time since leaving the market, it moved toward the side of the cage closest to her. Beneath the shadow of the sack, 2 extraordinary silver eyes opened. Lily reached her cottage just before dusk, when the snow had begun covering the narrow path behind her. She carried the cage inside and set it beside the fireplace, careful not to make any sudden movements. The pup immediately pressed itself into the farthest corner. Lily closed the door, added 2 pieces of wood to the fire, then knelt several feet away. "You are safe here," she said softly. The burlap sack shifted, but the pup did not come closer. Lily opened the cage door and left it that way. She placed a shallow bowl of water near the opening, tore a small piece from her loaf of bread, then added the last portion of cooked chicken she had saved from the night before. After that, she moved across the room and sat beside the fireplace. Minutes passed. Nothing happened. Lily pretended not to watch. Eventually, one thin paw appeared beyond the cage door. Then another. The pup stepped onto the wooden floor, still wearing the sack. It moved cautiously toward the food, stopping whenever Lily shifted in her chair. "Take your time," she whispered. The pup drank first, then ate every piece of chicken. When it finished, Lily noticed the sack had twisted tightly around its neck. She wanted to remove it, but when she moved closer, the pup retreated. Lily stopped immediately. "All right, not yet." She returned to her chair. Nearly an hour later, the pup approached her instead. Lily remained still as it stopped within arm's reach. Up close, she could see how uncomfortable the rough fabric must have been. "May I?" she asked, touching only the edge of the sack. The pup trembled, but did not move away. Slowly, Lily loosened the cloth and lifted it free. She had prepared herself for an injury, a deformity, anything that might explain the merchant's secrecy. Instead, she found a narrow gray face, 2 pointed ears, and the most unusual eyes she had ever seen. Silver. Not pale blue. Not gray. Silver, almost luminous in the firelight. Lily stared for half a second too long. The pup lowered its head. Her heart tightened. "Oh no," she whispered. "I am not afraid of you." She placed the sack on the floor. The pup watched it immediately, body stiffening. Lily noticed the reaction. Without another word, she carried the burlap to the fireplace and dropped it into the flames. The cloth curled, darkened, and disappeared into the fire. Nobody covers your face again. When Lily turned around, the pup was watching her. She sat on the floor rather than approaching him. "You need a name." His silver eyes followed her. Lily glanced at the soft gray fur along his back. "Ash," she said. One ear lifted. Lily smiled. "Ash it is." She prepared a blanket near the fireplace, but Ash chose the corner beside the front door. Lily did not move him. That night, she slept in the small bed across the room while winter wind brushed against the cottage windows. Sometime after midnight, she woke to a faint sound. Ash was no longer beside the door. He stood halfway between the entrance and her bed, watching her through the darkness. Lily closed her eyes again and gave him the choice. By morning, Ash had moved 3 feet closer. By the end of the first week, Ash no longer slept beside the door. He slept near the fireplace, close enough to watch Lily move around the cottage, but still far enough to retreat whenever the outside world frightened him. Lily never rushed him. Each morning, she worked several hours at Pine Hollow's small bakery, then returned before sunset with whatever food she could afford. Some nights it was chicken and potatoes. Other nights it was only oatmeal, bread, and a little broth. Ash never complained. He simply watched Lily divide everything into 2 portions. By the second week, his ribs were less visible beneath his gray coat, and his silver eyes no longer followed every movement with suspicion. One evening, Lily returned home with only half a loaf of bread and a small bowl of stew Mrs. Bennet from the bakery had given her. Snow tapped softly against the windows while Lily warmed the stew over the fire. She poured most of it into Ash's bowl and kept only a few spoonfuls for herself. "Do not look at me like that," she said when Ash stared at the portions. "I ate at work." It was a lie. Lily had skipped lunch because she needed the extra money for firewood. She carried her small bowl to the table and pretended to eat while Ash remained beside his food. "Go ahead." He did not move. Lily lifted a spoon to her mouth. Only then did Ash lower his head. But instead of eating, he pushed his bowl across the floor with his nose. It stopped against Lily's boot. She stared down at him. "Ash." He pushed it again. Lily felt an unexpected ache behind her eyes. No one in Pine Hollow had ever worried whether an Omega living at the edge of the pack had eaten enough. Yet this strange little wolf somehow knew. Lily crouched and moved the bowl between them. "Half," she whispered. "That is the deal." Ash finally ate when she did. Afterward, Lily sat on the rug near the fire, repairing a tear in her coat. Ash approached slowly and settled beside her. His body was noticeably larger than it had been at the market. Lily had assumed proper food was helping him recover, but the change seemed unusually fast. She reached toward him, then stopped as she always did. Ash closed the remaining distance himself. For the first time, he lowered his head into her open palm. Lily froze. His fur was warm and softer than she expected. "There you are," she whispered. Ash closed his silver eyes. Lily gently rubbed the fur beneath his jaw, and her fingers brushed something strange near the left side of his neck. She parted the thick gray coat. Beneath it was a pale silver marking shaped like a narrow crescent moon. Lily frowned. It did not look like a scar. It looked almost as though the color belonged naturally beneath his fur. Ash opened his eyes and watched her carefully. "What are you hiding?" Lily whispered. He gave no answer, of course, but his gaze seemed far too knowing for an ordinary pup. Over the next several days, Lily began noticing other things. Ash understood commands she had never taught him. He knew when someone approached the cottage before Lily heard footsteps. Once, When she dropped a wooden spoon across the room, Ash retrieved it before she even asked. Then, on the 21st morning after Lily brought him home, she woke and stared at the animal sleeping beside the fireplace. Ash had grown again, not by a little. The blanket that had once covered his entire body now barely reached from his shoulders to his hind legs. Lily slowly sat up. Ash opened his silver eyes. For the first time since buying him, Lily wondered whether the merchant had lied about more than the sack. On the 28th morning, Ash stood nearly level with Lily's waist. She stared at him from across the cottage while he calmly finished breakfast, apparently unaware that wolf pups were not supposed to grow several inches in a single week. "You are becoming very expensive to feed," Lily murmured. Ash lifted his silver eyes toward her. His tail moved once against the floor. Lily smiled despite herself, but concern remained. That afternoon, she walked 2 miles through fresh snow to visit Martha Collins, an elderly healer who lived beyond the eastern edge of Pine Hollow. Martha had treated pack wolves for more than 40 years and rarely seemed surprised by anything. Ash changed that. The moment Lily entered with him, Martha stopped arranging jars on a shelf. "Where did you find him?" she asked. "At the winter market." Lily removed her gloves. "I bought him 4 weeks ago." Martha looked from Ash to Lily. "For weeks?" Lily nodded. "He was less than half this size." Martha crouched several feet away, allowing Ash to decide whether to approach. After a moment he did. She examined his eyes, listened to his breathing, and carefully checked his coat. Ash remained calm until Martha reached the left side of his neck. Lily parted the gray fur and revealed the silver crescent. Martha's hand stopped. "Have you seen something like this before?" Lily asked. The healer did not answer immediately. She leaned closer, without touching the mark. "Once," she finally said, "I was a girl. My father took me to a gathering near the Northern Royal Territory. There was a symbol like this carved above a stone gate." Lily glanced at Ash. "What did it mean?" Martha stood slowly. "I do not remember enough to tell you without guessing." She crossed the room and pulled an old book from a cabinet, turning through faded pages. "But I remember silver wolves." Lily's heartbeat quickened. "Ash is gray. For now, perhaps." Lily frowned. Before Martha could explain, 3 deep bells sounded from Pine Hollow, carrying across the snowy woods. Both women turned toward the window. A 4th bell followed, then a 5th. Martha closed the book. Royal announcement. They hurried outside. From the ridge, the village square was visible nearly half a mile away. Wolves were already gathering around the notice board. Lily and Martha reached the square several minutes later with Ash walking quietly beside them. A pack official unrolled a document bearing the royal crest. "By order of Alpha King Damian Cross," he announced, "all northern packs are instructed to report information concerning an animal taken from the royal preserve approximately 1 month ago." Lily felt Ash move closer to her leg. The official continued. "The animal may display unusual growth, uncommon intelligence, silver-colored eyes, or distinctive markings." The square became very quiet. Lily slowly looked down. Ash was already watching her. Around them, other wolves began noticing him too. Martha's face had gone pale. "Lily," she whispered, "take him home." Lily tightened her grip on Ash's lead. "Why?" Martha looked toward the royal notice and then at the silver-eyed wolf beside her. "Because whatever you bought at that market was never supposed to be there." By sunset, half of Pine Hollow seemed to know about Ash. Lily kept him inside the cottage with the curtains drawn, but whispers traveled faster than snow on winter wind. She had just placed another log on the fire when someone knocked hard against the front door. Ash immediately rose from his blanket. He did not growl. He simply moved beside Lily and watched the entrance. "Stay here," she whispered. Ash ignored that completely. Lily opened the door and found Marcus Hale standing on the porch with 2 pack officials behind him. She recognized Marcus as the man who sometimes supplied animals to the winter market. His attention went past Lily immediately. The moment he saw Ash, his face changed. Not surprise. Recognition. "Where did you get that wolf?" he demanded. Lily kept one hand on the door. "I bought him at the market." "From whom?" A merchant working your livestock row. Marcus looked toward Ash again. There was a mistake. Lily felt Ash press closer to her leg. What kind of mistake? Marcus stepped forward, but Lily did not move aside. That animal was never supposed to be sold. The merchant seemed very interested in selling him. Marcus's jaw tightened. Give me back my wolf. Lily stared at him. Your wolf. The sale was unauthorized. Then show me proof that he belonged to you. Marcus hesitated. Lily noticed. She crossed to the small table beside the door and opened a wooden box where she kept every receipt because she could not afford to lose track of a single coin. She returned with the market slip. 7 coins, she said. Paid in full. Marcus barely looked at the paper. You are an Omega, Lily. You do not understand what you have. The words landed exactly as he intended, but Lily had heard versions of them her entire life. Too poor to matter. Too low-ranked to question anyone. Too insignificant to be trusted with something valuable. She held the receipt tighter. Then explain it to me. Marcus said nothing. Behind Lily, Ash stepped forward. He was larger than he had been even a few days earlier, his shoulders nearly reaching Lily's hip. Firelight moved across his gray coat, and his silver eyes remained fixed on Marcus. One of the pack officials quietly stepped back. Marcus noticed and forced a dismissive smile. It is still just a young wolf. Ash took one calm step between Marcus and Lily.
No es nada.
No raised fur. No threat. He simply stood there. Marcus went silent. Then, almost without realizing it, he moved backward off the threshold. Lily saw it. More importantly, Ash saw it. You are afraid of him, she said. Marcus's eyes snapped toward her. Do not be ridiculous. You knew what he was before you came here. The color drained slightly from Marcus's face. Lily thought of the burlap sack, the hidden silver eyes, the strange crescent marking, and the royal announcement searching for an animal stolen from the preserve. Pieces that had seemed separate suddenly began fitting together. Did you know he was stolen? She asked. Marcus's expression hardened. Be careful what you accuse people of. Lily looked at the 2 officials. Neither would meet her eyes. That told her enough. Marcus pointed toward Ash. Keep him tonight if you insist. Tomorrow I will return with proper authority. He turned and walked into the snow. The officials followed. Lily closed the door and leaned against it, listening until their footsteps disappeared. Ash turned toward her. She crouched beside him and touched the silver crescent beneath his fur. He knows what you are, she whispered. Ash looked toward the dark window. Far beyond the cottage, royal bells sounded once more. This time Ash did something Lily had never seen him do. He lifted his head toward the distant sound as if he recognized exactly who was coming. On the 60th morning after Lily brought Ash home, his blanket was empty. She woke before sunrise and knew something was wrong before her feet touched the floor. The cottage was too quiet.
Ash.
No silver eyes appeared beside the fireplace. His food bowl sat untouched. Lily crossed the room and found the front door partly open, letting a ribbon of cold air sweep across the floor. Her heart tightened. She stepped outside without finishing the buttons on her coat. Fresh snow covered the yard, and a trail of large paw prints led toward the northern pines.
Ash.
Lily called. Nothing answered. She followed the tracks through nearly a foot of snow, past the frozen creek and deeper into the woods. Ash had never wandered away from her before. Even when she worked at the bakery, he waited near the cottage until she returned. After almost 2 hours, the tracks reached a rocky ridge and disappeared beneath fresh snowfall. Lily stood there breathing hard, staring into the trees. Please come home, she whispered. By the time she returned to Pine Hollow, royal riders had arrived. Dark horses lined the village road, and silver wolf crests marked every formal coat. Villagers crowded around the square. Lily almost walked past them until she heard a name spoken in hushed voices. Alpha King Damian Cross. He stood near the market notice board, tall and composed, listening while a royal officer questioned the merchants. Marcus Hale was there too. For the first time since Lily had known him, Marcus looked nervous. Lily stopped at the edge of the crowd. Damian turned as if he had sensed her presence. His gaze settled on her snow-covered coat and wet boots. Then he noticed the folded paper still clenched in her hand. Ash's receipt. "Are you Lily Carter?" he asked. The crowd shifted. Lily nodded. "Yes, Your Majesty." Damian approached, but stopped several feet away. "I was told you purchased a silver-eyed animal here." Lily looked toward Marcus. "I did." "When?" 60 days ago." Something changed in Damian's expression. "Exactly 60? Lily nodded. "He disappeared this morning." Damian became very still. "Which direction?" "North, toward the ridge." One of the royal officers stepped closer, but Damian raised a hand. "Did anyone remove him from your home?"
No.
The door was open. He left on his own. Damian looked toward the distant tree line. Then he is doing what he was born to do. Lily's pulse quickened. What does that mean? Instead of answering, Damian held out his hand toward the paper. Lily gave him the receipt. He read the amount twice. 7 coins. Marcus shifted several yards away. Damian's eyes lifted sharply toward him before returning to Lily. Who sold him for this? A merchant connected to Marcus's livestock row. Marcus immediately spoke. Your Majesty, there was confusion about ownership. Damian did not look at him. There was no confusion. His voice remained calm. The animal taken from the royal preserve was concealed and moved through 3 markets before reaching Pine Hollow. Lily thought of the burlap sack and felt cold for reasons that had nothing to do with snow. Why would anyone hide a pup? Damian finally met her eyes. Because of what he would become if he survived his first 60 days. Lily stared at him. What is Ash? Before Damian could answer, a long, low call rolled down from the northern ridge. Every royal horse lifted its head. The guards turned toward the forest. Damian's expression changed from concern to recognition. Another call followed, deeper than any sound Lily had ever heard from Ash. Then something enormous moved between the snow-covered pines high above the village. Damian handed the 7-coin receipt back to Lily. You did not buy a stray, Miss Carter. He looked toward the ridge as a massive silver shape stepped into the morning light. And the pup you brought home is not a pup anymore. The silver shape stepped fully onto the ridge, and Pine Hollow fell silent. Lily forgot the cold. She forgot the crowd behind her. The wolf standing above the village was enormous, nearly twice the size of an ordinary adult wolf, with a thick silver-gray coat that caught the morning light like frost. Yet Lily recognized him before she saw his eyes. Ash, she whispered. His ears turned toward her voice. Then those familiar silver eyes found her across the distance. Ash descended the ridge with slow, measured steps. Royal guards moved aside as he approached. Several lowered their heads. Lily looked at Damian. To her astonishment, the Alpha King lowered his head too. Why are they bowing, she asked. Damian kept his gaze on Ash. Because Moonfang Lycans have guarded the royal bloodline for centuries. Lily stared at him. Moonfang. A guardian line so rare that only 3 were known to remain. Ash was the youngest. The great wolf reached the edge of the square. People who had crowded close moments earlier stepped away, creating a wide path. Lily remained where she was. She remembered the trembling pup beneath the burlap sack, the thin body curled beside her door, the small nose pushing a bowl of stew toward her boot. None of that disappeared because he was larger now. Ash, she said again. He walked directly toward her. A royal guard quietly warned, Miss Carter, please remain still. Lily barely heard him. Ash stopped only a few feet away. His shoulders now rose above her waist, and the silver crescent beneath the fur at his neck seemed brighter than before. For one heartbeat, Lily wondered whether 60 days had changed more than his size. Then Ash lowered his head exactly as he had beside her fireplace weeks earlier. Lily's breath caught. Slowly, she placed her palm against the warm fur between his ears. Ash closed his eyes. The entire square seemed to exhale. It is still you, Lily whispered. His tail moved once through the snow. Damian approached, stopping at a respectful distance. Moonfang Lycans mature differently from common wolves. Their first 60 days determine whether their guardian nature fully awakens. Lily kept her hand against Ash. Why did he leave this morning? Instinct. At the end of the first cycle, a Moonfang seeks high ground and completes its transition away from the place it considers home. Lily looked at the ridge, then back at Ash. So he came back. Damian's expression softened. That is the important part. Marcus Hale stood near the market stalls, his face pale. Your Majesty, surely the animal must be returned to the royal preserve now. Ash opened his eyes. Damian turned toward Marcus. Moonfang Lycans are not livestock. Marcus swallowed. But he belongs to the crown.
No.
Damian looked toward Lily. They cannot be owned, purchased, or assigned. A Moonfang chooses its bonded protector. Lily frowned. Protector? Damian nodded. Someone it trusts enough to return to after the first transformation. Lily looked down at the crumpled receipt still in her hand. But I bought him. You bought a cage, Damian said. You paid for the chance to take him away from people who should never have had him. Lily's fingers tightened around the paper. Ash leaned gently against her side. Damian watched the gesture, and something like wonder crossed the Alpha King's face. I have known Moonfang Guardians my entire life, he said. They do not give trust easily. Lily remembered sharing her food, burning the sack, waiting night after night for Ash to move closer on his own. She had never been trying to earn anything. She had only wanted him to feel safe. Damian looked from Ash to the 7-coin receipt. Whatever happened in that cottage during the last 60 days, he made his choice. Ash lifted his head and stood beside Lily as the royal guards bowed once more. This time, they were not bowing only to the legendary wolf. They were acknowledging the poor Omega he had chosen. Damian waited until the royal guards had finished searching the market stalls before asking Lily to join him inside Pine Hollow's council house. Ash followed without a lead, his silver-gray shoulders nearly level with Lily's waist. Marcus Hale was already there when they entered. On the table lay a familiar piece of rough burlap. Lily stopped. Even after 2 months, she recognized the faded stitching along one edge. That was covering Ash's head, she said. Damian nodded. It was found in a storage shed registered to one of Marcus's trading partners. Marcus immediately shook his head. That proves nothing. Damian did not raise his voice. The Royal Preserve records show Ash disappeared 3 days before he appeared in Pine Hollow's market system. Witnesses traced the same cage through 3 separate towns. At every stop, his head remained covered. Lily looked at Marcus. You knew about his eyes. Marcus said nothing. That is why you hid them. Damian placed a document beside the burlap. Silver eyes and the crescent marking would have identified him immediately as Moonfang. Marcus looked toward the door, as if wishing he were anywhere else. I never knew exactly what he was. But you knew he was stolen, Damian replied. Silence answered for him. Lily felt Ash move closer. She rested one hand against his shoulder. Damian turned to her. The royal court will handle the investigation from here. You are not responsible for what happened before Ash reached you. Lily looked down at the 7-coin receipt she still carried. What happens to him now? Damian glanced at Ash. That depends on him. Lily frowned. Not you. Not even me. Damian explained that Moonfang Guardians traditionally lived near royal territory, but once they completed their first transformation, they chose where and with whom they remained. No decree could create that bond. No purchase could either. Lily looked at Ash. So, if he wants to return with you, he can? Yes. Her hand slowly left his fur. The thought hurt, but she forced herself to smile. Then he should choose. Damian studied her. You would let him go? Lily swallowed. I did not save him, so he would owe me. For several seconds, nobody spoke. Then Damian stepped toward Ash and opened the council house door. Cold afternoon light spilled across the floor. Beyond it waited the royal horses, guards, and the road north. Ash, Damian said calmly, you may return home. Ash looked through the doorway. Then he looked at Lily. He walked forward. Lily's chest tightened as he passed Damian and stepped outside. She told herself not to call him back. 5 seconds passed. Then Ash turned around, crossed the threshold again, and returned directly to Lily's side. He sat beside her and leaned his enormous silver body gently against her. Damian smiled. There is your answer. Lily lowered her face for a moment, blinking back tears. He chose me. Yes. Damian reached into his coat and placed a sealed royal document on the table. And the crown owes you more than gratitude. Name your reward. Lily stared at him. She thought of her leaking cottage roof, the empty pantry, and the winters she had spent counting coins before buying bread. Gold could change everything. Yet another image came first. Ash beneath the sack while an entire market walked past him. I want protection for Omegas who have nowhere safe to go, she said. Damian's expression shifted. For yourself? Lily shook her head. For all of them. Damian looked at the woman who had once possessed only 7 coins and had spent every one on a creature nobody wanted. Now, offered almost anything by a king, she had asked for something that would help people she might never meet. Ash had made his choice. Standing there in the quiet council house, Damian Cross began to understand why. 3 mornings later, Lily stood outside her cottage while Ash watched royal workers repair the roof she had patched herself for years. She had not asked Damian for that. When she protested, the Alpha King simply reminded her that Pine Hollow owed safe housing to every resident, including an Omega who had been overlooked for too long. More important was the document Lily held in her hands. Damian had approved a new royal protection program for displaced Omegas, beginning with a small refuge near Pine Hollow and expanding to other northern packs. Lily read the final page twice before looking up. You actually did it. Damian stood several feet away, dressed more simply than he had been during his arrival. You ask. Kings probably hear thousands of requests. Most people ask for something for themselves. Lily glanced toward Ash. The great Moonfang lay in the snow as peacefully as he once had beside her fireplace, although now his paws seemed enormous against the narrow porch. Maybe I already received what I wanted. Damian followed her gaze.
Ash.
Lily smiled. A friend who finally eats more than I do. As if offended, Ash lifted his head. Damian laughed, and Lily realized it was the first time she had heard him sound less like a king and more like a man. He reached into his coat and removed an envelope sealed with silver wax. Lily eyed it cautiously. Another royal document? An invitation. She accepted it. To what? The Northern Royal Territory. Damian looked toward Ash. There are records about Moonfang Guardians that may help you understand him. There is also room at the palace for the refuge program to be developed properly. Lily studied the envelope. Are you ordering me to come?
No.
His answer was immediate. If you choose to remain here, the program continues. The repairs continue. Ash remains wherever he chooses. Lily looked at him. Then why invite me? Damian was quiet for a moment. Because Ash recognized something before the rest of us did. Lily glanced down at her worn boots. I had 7 coins and poor judgment. You had 7 coins and no reason to believe helping him would ever benefit you. Damian's voice softened. That is different. Lily remembered the market, the cage, the burlap sack, the tiny sound that everyone else ignored. She had believed she was buying a frightened pup a chance to survive. She had never imagined royal guards, Moonfang legends, or a king standing outside her cottage. Ash rose and walked toward the road. He stopped, then looked back at Lily as though waiting. She laughed softly. You already decided, did you not? Ash's silver tail moved once. Lily looked at Damian. If I come, I want to work on the refuge. I do not want a ceremonial position. Agreed. And nobody decides where Ash belongs except Ash. Agreed. Lily tucked the invitation into her coat. Then I will come. They left Pine Hollow that afternoon. Lily carried 1 small travel bag and the 7-coin receipt folded safely inside it. Damian rode slowly beside her rather than disappearing ahead with the royal party. Ash walked on her other side, silver against the winter forest. At the edge of town, Lily looked back once at the market where everyone had laughed when she spent her last coins on something they considered worthless. Then she faced forward. She had not bought a legend that day. She had not purchased royal favor or a different life. She had simply heard a frightened creature when everyone else chose not to listen. 7 coins had been all Lily Carter possessed. What changed her future was not how little she had, but what she chose to do with it.